Inshallah, I will have a lecture about Surah Yaseen. The Surah Yaseen is considered as the heart of the Quran. Heart of the Quran. Qalb al-Quran. That the Surah Yaseen is the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, it's the heart of the Quran. And it's a great message in the surah. A great message. The starting of the Surah Yaseen, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, in the name of Allah, the gracious, the merciful. The first verse is Yaseen, which means nobody knows the meaning of the Yaseen. Some people, they try to make some interpretation, but these are the abbreviations which no one has the meaning of this, none except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The next verse is Wal Quran al-Hakim, by the Quran, the full of wisdom. So Allah is swearing by the Quran that Quran is the full of wisdom. We ourselves, we can only swear by Allah, as said by the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, but Allah swears differently in the Quran. And here Allah is swearing by the Quran, Al-Hakim, the Quran, the full of wisdom. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saying next is, Innaka la minal mursaleen, surely you are among the messengers. Ala surati mustaqim, upon the straight way. Tanzil al-Aziz al-Rahim, this Quran is sent by the Almighty, the Merciful. لِتُنذِرَ قَوْمًا مَا أُنذِرَ آبَاؤُهُمْ فَهُمْ غَافِلُونَ, that you may warn to the people whose forefathers were not warned, so they are heedless, they are unaware. Surely the word has proven against most of them, so they will not believe. Surely around their necks we have put the shackles, the chains, reaching up to their chins, so that their heads are forced up. And we have set a barrier before them, and a barrier behind them, and we have enshrouded them in veils, so they cannot see. It is same upon them, whether you warn them or you do not warn them, they will not believe. You can only warn the one who is following the reminder, the Quran, and fearing Ar-Rahman, the gracious, unseen. So give them the great tidings of the forgiveness and the great and generous reward. Surely we will make alive the dead, and we write down their records which they have sent ahead, and their traces which they have left behind. For of all things do we have account in a clear book. Now this story comes here, that Allah is mentioning about the town story where Allah sent the two messengers together. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَضْرِبْ لَهُمْ مَثَلًا أَصْحَابَ الْقَرْيَةِ إِذْ جَاءَهَا الْمُرْسَلُونَ, and relate to them the story of the people of the town when Allah sent them two messengers. إِذْ أَرْسَلْنَا إِلَيْهِمْ مُثْنَيْنِ فَكَذَّبُوهُمَا فَعَزَّزْنَا بِثَالِثٍ فَقَالُوا إِنَّا إِلَيْكُمْ مُرْسَلُونَ. When we sent to them the two messengers, they rejected them both. Then we reinforced them with a third messenger. And they say, surely we are towards you as messengers. Now what is the reason of the people, they rejecting, they are making a alibi or the false reason. They say, قَالُوا مَا أَنْتُمْ إِلَّا بَشَرٌ مِثْلُنَا وَمَا أَنزَلَ الرَّحْمَنُ مِنْ شَيْءٍ إِنْ أَنْتُمْ إِلَّا تَكْذِبُونَ. They say, you are not but just like us, a human being. And Ar-Rahman, the most gracious, revealed nothing. You are not but except liars. Because they don't want to follow the commandments of Allah. They want to have a free life. So they're just rejecting the prophets with the false reason that you are just like us, human being. So they say, the messengers, the three of them, they say to them, قَالُوا رَبُّنَا يَعْلَمُ إِنَّا إِلَيْكُمْ لَمُرْسَلُونَ. They say, our Lord knows that we are towards you as messengers. وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ الْمُبِينَ. And for us is to just convey clearly. So if you don't believe, you have your punishment for that. قَالُوا إِنَّا تَطَيَّرْنَا بِكُمْ لَئِن لَمْ تَنْتَهُوا لَنَرْجُمَنَّكُمْ وَلَيَمَسَّنَّكُم مِّنَّا عَذَابٌ أَلِيمٌ. They say, surely we see an evil omen in you. So if you will not stop it, then we will stone you, and you will touch it from us the painful punishment. قالوا طائركم معكم إن ذكرتم بل أنتم قوم مسرفون. They say, your evil omen be with you. So what you are cursing upon us, it's this curse upon you yourself. And it is because we are reminding you, بل أنتم قوم مسرفون, nay, but you are the people who are exceeding the limits. Now when they rejected, then Allah is mentioning in the Quran, the next episode of the story, that came a human being, a man from the farthest part of the town. That town might be the Antioch, where these three messengers were trying to preach to those disobedient people, unjust people. Now Allah is reinforcing that these three messengers with just a human being, an ordinary human being who is not a prophet, who is not a messenger, but just a righteous person. So Allah say that in the story now, وَجَاءَ مِنْ أَقْصَى الْمَدِينَةِ رَجُلٌ يَسْعَى. And there comes a man from the farthest part of the town. Very quickly. قَالَ يَا قَوْمِ اتَّبِعُوا الْمُرْسَلِينَ. He said, "O my people, follow the messengers. اتَّبِعُوا مَنْ لَا يَسْأَلُكُمْ أَجْرًا وَهُمْ مُهْتَدُونَ." Follow those who are not asking you any wages from you. They are not asking anything to pay. وَهُمْ مُهْتَدُونَ, and they themselves are guided. So there's a very beautiful things here. Today the religion become a profession. The people who are trying to impose the religion, they're always looking for something to pay. If no pay, they don't want to do any missionary works. So missionary works today is a business. Especially the Philippines, the biggest business in the Philippines is the religion. The most richest people are the religious leaders, like priests and pastors, the ministers. Every day they make a new religion and they ask people the money of it. The religious people are very rich people here. The Christians, they have lots of business. They have lots of incomes. Not just they have income for own selves, like Catholic Church, they even send lots of money to the Vatican. Even this is a poor country, but the millions of dollars going from here, coming from the pockets of the poor people, going to the Vatican as a collections. But the true messenger, or the true people who really want to give a true message, they never ask anything to pay. They do it for sake of Allah, and they want the reward only from Allah. So this man was a very rational man. He's a very intelligent person. He come from the farthest part of the town when he heard about the messengers. And now he is telling to his people, "O my people, follow the messengers. Ittabi'ul mursalin." And then he giving a very good reason. Ittabi'u man la yas'alukum ajran wa hum muhtadun. Follow those who are not asking any wages from you. They are not asking any reward from you. They are not asking to pay you anything. So this is one of the signs of the righteous people. When they preach, they don't ask anything to pay back. And they should be guided. So he said, وَهُمْ مُهْتَدُونَ, and they are guided. And then he goes on another good reason to his people. وَمَا لِيَ لَا أَعْبُدُ الَّذِي فَطَرَنِي وَإِلَيْهِ تُرْجَعُونَ. And why should I not worship to him who created me, and to him I shall be returned. So it's another good reason he's giving to his people to follow the messengers. He's telling them, and why will I not worship the one who created me, the one who gave me the life? And not just he gave me the life, but I'm going to return to him also. أَتَّخِذُ مِن دُونِهِ آلِهَةً إِن يُرِدْنِ الرَّحْمَنُ بِضُرٍّ لَا تُغْنِ عَنِّي شَفَاعَتُهُمْ شَيْئًا وَلَا يُنْقِذُونَ. And if I take other gods beside him, And if Ar-Rahman, the true God, Allah, the gracious, want to make harm for me, then their intercession will be no benefit of me. And they cannot save me. Inni dhallafi dhulalil mubin. And surely in that case, I will be a very clearly misguided. And now when his people are not still believing, then he is making his confession, he is making his shahada, he is testifying now. Inni amantu bi rabbikum fasma'un. Surely I believe in your Lord, so hear to me. So when the people did not believe, then he is testifying himself that surely I believe in your Lord. He's telling to the messengers. And then he's telling them, fasma'un, hear to me. Means be my witness that I testify and I believe in your Lord. And then the further is not mentioned what happened the next, because it's explanation here that they killed him. Because he wanted to tell them to follow the messengers, to believe in one God. So they killed him, and we believe that he was martyr. He was shaheed. His souls entered to paradise right away, because as Prophet Muhammad said, if somebody die in the way of Allah, Allah entered the soul in the big birds in paradise. And they enjoy and they are given the provision in paradise. So there's a great honor for those who give their life in the way of Allah, for the justice, for inviting people to the right. Then that person was also martyred. So it's not mentioned that he was killed, but it's mentioned the next verse, Kilat khulil jannah, it was said, enter to paradise. So only the people who enter to right away paradise are those who are martyred. The rest of the people, they will go in paradise on the day of judgment. But those who killed in the way of Allah, they enter to paradise right away. At the moment they die, their soul enter to paradise by the will of Allah. But he was very good-hearted person. Even when he was commanded to enter to paradise, his soul, then he is still wishing something. He's saying, قَالَ يَا لَيْتَ قَوْمِ يَعْلَمُونَ. This is that he exclaimed, would that my people knew that. بِمَا غَفَرَ لِرَبِّي وَجَعَلَنِي مِنَ الْمُكْرَمِينَ. That my Lord have forgiven me and made me amongst the honorable ones. Then another stop period here. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمَا أَنزَلْنَا عَلَىٰ قَوْمِهِ مِنْ بَعْدِهِ مِنْ جُنْدٍ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ وَمَا كُنَّا مُنزِلِينَ. And we did not send down upon his people any army from the sky, and it was not needed for us to send down. So Allah did not send any army to destroy that people or that nation. But Allah said, إِنْ كَانَ إِلَّا صَيْحَةً وَاحِدَةً فَإِذَا هُمْ خَامِدُونَ. It was but a shout, a one shout, and they all were silent. So what Allah did, there was a one explosion. And that explosion made a great destruction. Said that all these people were killed and dead and silent. And here is a very beauty of the Quran. The Quran always mention about the shout, the explosions, the shout which is destruction. Even when the end of the world will happen, the angel Israfil will make a shout also. A voice, a great voice. And that great voice will destroy the world, and that will be the end of the world. So what is the relation of the noise with the explosion or the destruction? Why the noise can make destruction? And we come to know about the Alfred Nobel, who created the dynamite, or even the atomic bombs, or any kind of explosion. They all are making a destruction with the noise only, nothing else. The great noise and destruction will happen. The dynamite, what is happened? The noise happen, and the noise make destruction. The atomic bombs, the noise happen, and noise make the destruction. And Allah said here, this phenomena that every time Allah mentioned about the noise, a sayha, a great noise, and that make destruction. So these people were destroyed with a noise also, and that noise made explosion, which destroyed the whole nation, because they rejected the message of Allah to believe in one God and to follow the messengers. So Allah destroyed them with a one shout, sayhatan wahida, فَإِذَا هُمْ خَامِدُونَ, and they were all dead, silent. يَا حَسْرَةً عَلَى الْعِبَادِ مَا يَأْتِهِم مِّن رَّسُولٍ إِلَّا كَانُوا بِهِ يَسْتَهْزِئُونَ. And Allah said, woe upon the slaves, whenever come to them the messenger, but they are mocking upon them, rejecting them. أَلَمْ يَرَوْا كَمَا أَهْلَكْنَا قَبْلَهُم مِّنَ الْقُرُونِ أَنَّهُمْ إِلَيْهِمْ لَا يَرْجِعُونَ. Are they not aware of how many a generation we have destroyed before them, their time, that those will never return to them? So Allah destroyed many nations when they rejected the message of Allah to believe and worship one God, and they rejected, then Allah destroyed them when they did not follow the messengers. وَإِن كُلُّ لَمَّا جَمِيعٌ لَدَيْنَا مُحْضَرُونَ. And all of them, all together, will before us be arraigned. They all will be gathered before Allah on the Day of Judgment. The next verse is a very beautiful verse. وَآيَةٌ لَهُمُ الْأَرْضُ الْمَيْتَةُ أَحْيَيْنَاهَا وَأَخْرَجْنَا مِنْهَا حَبًّا فَمِنْهُ يَأْكُلُونَ. And the sign for them is the dead land. We made it alive, and we bring out from it the grains which they eat for their food. Now here is a very good scientific miracle about the Quran, that Allah said the sign for them is a dead land. So that the land or the soil, it's dead. Then when Allah sent the water from the sky, the land become alive. How you explain it in scientifically? When you get this dry soil, and you check in the microscopic, big microscopic, which can magnify millions of, thousands of millions of times, then you will see in the soil, the large number of the soil consists of microorganisms. And they are like 86% of the total content of the soil. But when you see the dry land or the dry soil, when you see with the microscope, you can see all the microorganisms, the bacteria, they are dead. They are not moving. They are lifeless. So they cannot do anything, like they cannot work for agriculture or other phenomena in the earth because they are dead. And the same soil, when you pour the water and you mix it and then you see it in the microscope, then you will see all the microorganisms, they become alive. So before, when they were dry, they were dead. When there is a water on this soil, the microorganism, the bacteria, they become alive. Then now they can work for the agriculture, those bacteria, to help us for the agriculture. So very beautiful words of the Quran. وَآيَةٌ لَهُمُ الْأَرْضُ الْمَيْتَةَ أَحْيَيْنَاهَا. And the sign for them is the dead land, we made it alive. How Allah made it alive? When Allah sent the water from the sky, then the dead soil become alive. All the bacteria, which is a great number of bacteria in the soil, they started to become revived to the life, so they can work for our food, for agriculture. وَأَخْرَجْنَا مِنْهَا حَبًّا فَمِنْهُ يَأْكُلُونَ. And we bring out from it the grains. Habba means grains. فَمِنْهُ يَأْكُلُونَ, which they may eat. وَجَعَلْنَا فِيهَا جَنَّاتٍ مِّن نَخِيلٍ وَعَنَابٍ وَفَجَّرْنَا فِيهَا مِنَ الْعُيُونِ. And we have made gardens of date palms and grapes thereon, and cause springs to gush forth within it. لِيَأْكُلُوا مِنْ ثَمَرِهِ وَمَا عَمِلَتْهُ أَيْدِيهِمْ أَفَلَا يَشْكُرُونَ. So eat from the fruits, and not your hands made them. So of course those fruits we can have from the land, not our hands are making this. So Allah said, وَمَا عَمِلَتْهُ أَيْدِيهِمْ, and not their hands are making those fruits. أَفَلَا يَشْكُرُونَ. Will you not give thanks to Allah who is making these fruits for you? Then again the next words, it's a miraculous verse. Subhanalladhi khalaqa al-azwajaha kullaha mimma tunbitu al-ardu wa min anfusihim wa mimma la ya'lamun. glorify is He who made the pair for everything, which the earth produces, and from their own selves, and which they knew not. There was a scientist, two scientists, I forget the other name. The one scientist's name was Dr. Abdul Salam. Many years ago, I read about the article that Dr. Abdul Salam and his co-American scientists, they give the theory and nobody can prove it wrong, so it becomes fact. And their theory was about the pair in everything. The pair in everything. Before, when I was 1985, 1984 in school, in the high school, my chemistry teacher, they make the atom. They say atom has a nucleus, and nucleus is a proton and neutrons. And outside is the electron. I did not know about that, what mentioned in the Quran, that everything is a pair. So that was 1985. I was learned that the atom consists of electron, proton, and electron. Electron is rotating outside. Same way the people go to Hajj in Makkah and then they make tawaf to Kaaba, electron to produce energy. And the nucleus is like Kaaba is the center of all the people of the world. So nucleus has protons and neutrons. But these two scientists, Dr. Abdul Salam and the other co-scientist, the American scientist, they said that everything is a pair. So they prove it that electron has a pair which is positron. And proton has a pair, and a neutron has a pair, and even atom has a pair. And if you can see, Allah said in the Quran, Subhanalladhi khalaqal azwaja kullaha, the glorify to He who make the pair for everything. Everything. Like we are male, and then we have a female. Even our actions has a pair, good and evil, white and black, tall and short, or fat and thin. Everything is a pair. Even in the plants, as Allah said, Mimma tumbitul ard, whatever the earth produces, there is pair. Like we knew before, people, they don't know when the Quran revealed, but the Quran said, whatever earth produces, it is a pair. 1,400 years ago, there was no science can tell you that everything earth produces as a pair. Like the plants, as a male and female. The plants is male and female. The animals, the insects, all kind of insects, animals, they have a male and female pair. Everything is with a pair. And Allah said, وَمِنْ أَنفُسِهِمْ, and in your own selves. Not just a male and female also, the good and evil. Our body is consists of the pair. What is a pair? The body and the soul. It's a combination of, we have a body and then outside the body is a soul. So it's another pair. Now there are scientists who even say when everything is in the pair, so this our life should have another life, the pair. Because there is nothing without anything without the pair. So this life is the life, so we should have another life, the pair for this life. And that's his akhirah. So Allah mentioned in the Quran two lives. Awwaluhu akhiruh. وَلَلْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ لَكَ مِنْ أُولَى. The akhirah, the last, is better than the first. So we have a first life which we are now, and the other life when we will be alive again on the day of judgment. And that will be the second life. Now the last part of the ayah said, وَمِمَّا لَا يَعْلَمُونَ, and the things which you knew not has a pair also. Like electron has a pair of positron, etc. Which we did not know. But Allah said, the things you don't know, they too have the pairs also. So that theory was produced by this Dr. Abdul Salam and another American scientist, and they get the Nobel Prize of Peace. But this is already mentioned in the Quran. Before they can discover it, it's already in the Quran that Allah made the pair for everything. So atoms should have a pair. the proton should have appeared, neutron should have appeared, electron should have appeared. So it's a very beautiful verse about that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made everything in the pair, except Allah himself, he has no pair. Because Allah said he's only one. And he is without any partner, without any pair, and he has no son, and he has no father, and he is only one. That's why the Quran, the Surah Yaseen, it's a great surah. It has so much beautiful messages and lots of informations here. And it has the oneness of Allah, it has about the next life, and it is about the paradise and hellfire, and it is about justice. Everything you can get, it's centered. It's a qalb, it's the heart of the Quran. So Allah mentioned everything in the Surah Yaseen in a beautiful way. And then next Allah said, وَآيَةٌ لَهُمُ اللَّيْلُ نَسْلَخُ مِنُ النَّهَارَ فَإِذَا هُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ. And they have sign in the night, we withdraw from it the day. So night, Allah bring out from the night the day. So everything is dark, and then suddenly the sun is coming up to the horizon, and before it's arrived on the horizon, the lights comes out. And that's we call the dawn time. And that is the starting of the fasting. When we see the light in the east, the light is coming out and the sunrise is not yet out. The sun is not yet out, but the light is coming out. So that is the starting of the day. So Allah said, then the sign for them is a night. They have a sign in the night. We withdraw from it the day. So first is the day is withdrawing from the night. So that when the sun is going towards the sunset, then the darkness coming out from the east. So darkness will come out, and until the sun sets all completely, then we are in total darkness. In the other side, when the sun is coming out from the east, the light comes out before the sun comes out. And this light will spread it on the horizon, and it's go all around, and it will become a day for us. But the word mentioning here is about the night. And the night, and the sign for them is a night. We bring it out from the day. So there is everything is light now. And when Allah bring down the sun, so when the sun goes down in the west, the east started the darkness. So you can see it's a beautiful phenomena. When you see the sun is setting on the west, you can observe on the east, the darkness will come out from the east. And the Maghrib time, that is our fasting of break. When the sun sets and you see on the eastern side, you will see the darkness is coming out. That is the start of the night. And until it will be totally dark, that will be the Isha time. When totally dark, no twilights anymore, that will be the Isha time. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَالشَّمْسُ تَجْرِي لِمُسْتَقَرِّ لَهَا ذَلِكَ تَقْدِيرُ الْعَزِيزِ الْعَلِيمِ. And the sun has its course, runs in its orbit of its own. This is laid down by the will of the Almighty, the All-Knowing. Again here, the scientific theories are always mistaken. That the Quran never have a mistake. I was in 1985 in last year of my high school, and I was studying the physics. My physics teacher, he make a diagram on the blackboard, because we don't have the whiteboard before, only blackboard with the white chalk. So he put the diagram on the blackboard, and he make the solar system. He put the sun in the middle, then he started to put the 9 planets. The Saturn, which named by the scientists, Uranus and Pluto, and the Earth was the number 3. And he was teaching us that these all the 9 planets, they have orbits and they are rotating. But he said, no, sun is a fix. Subhanallah. But look at the beauty of the Quran, the miracle of the Quran. وَالشَّمْسُ تَجْرِي لِمُسْتَقَرِّ لَهَا. And the sun has its orbit, and it runs in its own orbit. When the science was not known that the sun has also orbit, and they have also running in a perfect speed, then the Quran was still mentioning the sun has its orbit, and the sun has to rotate also. But I witnessed myself in 1985 when I was in last year of my school. My teacher, the physics teacher, teach me the sun is not moving. but all the planets are moving. So science can always be mistaken, but Allah, who is the creator of the universe, He can never mistake in the Quran. ذَلِكَ تَقْدِيرُ الْعَزِيزِ الْعَلِيمِ. That is the estimate of the Almighty, the All-Knowing. وَالْقَمَرَ قَدَّرْنَاهُ مَنَازِلَ حَتَّى عَادَ كَالْعُرْجُونِ الْقَدِيمِ. And for the moon has also phases. So the moon phases mentioned here. Manazil means phases. And Qaddarna, the calculated. وَالْقَمَرَ قَدَّرْنَاهُ مَنَازِلَ حَتَّى عَادَ كَالْعُرْجُونِ الْقَدِيمِ. And the sun and the moon has a calculated phases until it becomes like the old date stalk dried up and curved. So that is we call the crescent, the new moon. And then end of the month, it also become small like curve, a small curve also. And then finally it disappear. So that means end of the month. And then it will appear again, the crescent, the small moon, the curve, and that is the start of the month. And that's really making the month. But the sun doesn't make any month. Sun is always same. But the moon is starting of the month is like a curve. And then in the middle of the month it becomes full moon. And then on the 7th day it becomes like one half. On the 14th day it becomes full moon. And on the 21st day it becomes again half moon. And then on the end of the month it becomes disappear. So it's a beautiful word in Tagalog. They called moon is buwan. And buwan means also month. So moon is really making a month. Not the sun making the month, but the moon really makes a month. And Allah mentioned about the phases of the moon. And the phases of the moon we can detect about the when is the new moon and when is the half moon and the full moon. And then the waning moon and waxing moon. The vanishing moon and the appearing moon. And that can make us how to compute our months, like especially the month of Ramadan, or the starting of the end of the Ramadan, or the first day of the Shawwal, which is Eid al-Fitr, and also about the Hajj and other calculations for us. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned, لَا الشَّمْسُ يَنْبَغِي لَهَا أَن تُدْرِكَ الْقَمَرَ وَلَا اللَّيْلُ سَابِقُ النَّهَارِ وَكُلٌّ فِي فَلَكٍ يَسْبَحُونَ. Not the sun can take over the moon, nor the night can overstrip the day. They all float in their own orbit, the space. So Allah again mentioned it, that the sun and the moon have orbits, and they rotate. Not only sun and the moon, all the bodies in the universe, they have their orbits and they have to move it. And this movement is to produce the energy. So the rotation is orbits and rotations are mentioned in the Quran when nobody knew that, or more than 1,400 years ago. وَآيَةٌ لَهُمْ أَنَّا حَمَلْنَا ذُرِّيَّتَهُمْ فِي الْفُلْكِ الْمَشْحُونِ. And the sign for them that we carried their offspring in the laden ship. وَخَلَقْنَا لَهُم مِّن مِّثْلِهِ مَا يَرْكَبُونَ. And we create for them things of similar kind on which they embark. وَإِن نَّشَاءْ نُغْرِقْهُمْ فَلَا صَرِيخَ لَهُمْ وَلَا هُمْ يُنقَذُونَ. And if we will, we can drown them with none to respond to their cry for help, and they cannot be saved. إِلَّا رَحْمَةً مِنَّا وَمَتَاعًا إِلَىٰ حِينٍ. Unless it be by an act of mercy from us and a grant of life for a time being. And when وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَهُمْ اتَّقُوا مَا بَيْنَ أَيْدِيكُمْ وَخَلْفَكُمْ لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ. And when it is, they are told, beware of all that lies open before you and all that is hidden from you, so that you might be graced with His mercy. And no message of their Lord comes to them, reaches them, without their turning away from it, but they are turning away from it. And when it is said to them, وَإِذَا قِيلَ أَنْفِقُوا مِمَّا رَزَقَكُمُ اللَّهُ قَالَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَنُطِيعُوا إِنْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ وَأَطْعَمَهُ إِنْ أَنْتُمْ إِلَّا فِي ضَلَالٍ مُبِينٍ. And when it is said to them, spend from the provision Allah has provided you. So those who are disbelievers, they say to the believers, shall we feed anyone whom, if Allah will, He can feed himself. He can feed them. He could have feed them himself. Clearly you are but in clear error. So they are supposed to feed what Allah has given them. And that is why Allah made us in this world, to help each other. So they cannot say that Allah will feed them. It is alibi. It is a false reason to get rid of their obligation to help to the poor. These are the very bad people who doesn't want to feed to the poor, and they just say Allah will feed them. Allah will feed them through us, because He makes the system. He makes some people rich to feed to the poor. So that is a way of charity. That is a way of this world that Allah made it. That Allah make the fair business, so you earn money and you give the share of your money to the poor. What the communism did, they want to control all money and they want to feed to the people. So they were failed miserably. The communism was not successful. What Islam teaches, that the rich and poor, they make the fair business without interest, so there will be no injustices, and rich can become poor and the poor can become rich. So rich has to share the poor, his wealth, to feed them. But if he will not do, then Allah will curse him and Allah will make him poor, and Allah will make a poor person to become rich. And that's happening. Those who are not spending money, even though they have millions and billions, Allah will take away everything from them. With some calamities, with diseases, with the destruction of their business. But those rich people, they spend their money in the way of Allah. Allah multiplied them. Never reduce. Never reduce. How much more you spend money, the more your money will multiply. If you have thousands and you spend, Allah will make it millions. And if you have millions and you spend in the way of Allah, then Allah will make it billions. And if you have billions and you spend unlimitedly, then Allah will make it trillions for you. Of course, we are not spending to multiply our wealth, but it is a system of Allah. It's a system of Allah. Prophet Muhammad, he guaranteed that if you are humble, your honor will not reduce. Sometimes you are humble, okay, I'm sorry for it. People are humble people, and they thought that you are humble, then you lose your honor. No. Prophet Muhammad swear to Allah, the humbleness will never reduce your honor. And he also assured that the spending in the way of Allah will never make you poor, but rather make you rich. وَيَقُولُونَ هَذَا الْوَعْدُ إِن كُنتُمْ صَادِقِينَ. And they say, when this promise will come, if you are truthful. مَا يَنْصُرُونَ إِلَّا سَيْحَةً وَاحِدَةً تَأْخُذُ مِنْ خِصِّمُونَ. They are waiting except the one shout which will seize them while they will be disputing. وَلَا يَسْتَطِيعُونَ تَوْصِيَةً وَلَا إِلَىٰ أَهْلِهِمْ يَرْجِعُونَ. Then they will not be able to make any wasiyah, the testament or will, nor they can return to their own people, to their own family. وَنُفِخَ فِي الصُّورِ فَإِذَا هُمْ مِنَ الْأَجْدَاثِ إِلَىٰ رَبِّهِمْ يَنْسِلُونَ. And the second trumpet is mentioning here that the first trumpet, everything will be destroyed. And on the second trumpet, when Allah will resurrect the angel Israfil to make another noise, another trumpet or the shout, and the second trumpet will be blown, and lo, out of their graves towards their Lord they will rush forth. So people will out from the graves, and before that the water will come from the sky, which will absorb in the graves. So our bodies will be resurrected. Then Allah will alive the angel Israfil to make a second blow, and that second blow will be resurrection. So people will come out from the graves, and they will run towards their Lord for the gathering, for the judgment day. And they will be saying, some of them will be saying, قَالُوا يَا وَيْلَنَا مَنْ بَعَثَنَا مِنْ مَرْقَدِنَا هَذَا مَا وَعَدَ الرَّحْمَنُ وَصَدَقَ الْمُرْسَلُونَ. They will say, woe to us, who wake up us in our bedrooms. So when they are alive on the day of judgment, they will be feeling that they were sleeping in the bedrooms, and now they wake up. And it will be answered to them, هَذَا مَا وَعَدَ الرَّحْمَنُ وَصَدَقَ الْمُرْسَلُونَ. That is what the Rahman, the most gracious, promised, and the messengers spoken the truth. In كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم جميع لدينا محضرون. It will be a one shout, except one shout. Nothing will there have been but one single shout, and lo, before us will all of them will be gathered. فَالْيَوْمَ لَا تُظْلَمُ نَفْسٌ شَيْئًا وَلَا تُجْزَوْنَ إِلَّا مَا كُنْتُمْ تَعْمَلُونَ. Then that day no one will be wronged in the least, nor shall you be requited for aught but what you were doing. So you only pay for what you were doing in this world. Inna ashabal jannati al-yawma fi shughulin fakihun. On that day, the people of the paradise will be in joyful occupation. They'll be very happy. Hum wa azwajuhum fi zilalin ala al-ara'iki muttaqiyun. Them and their wives will be in the shadow on the day of judgment, and they will be sitting on the couches, reclining on the couches. May Allah give us this. Amin. Lahum fiha fakiyatun wa lahum ma yadda'un. Delight will there be for them, and there shall be all of them they can ask for. So whatever they ask, they will be given. And here is the most beautiful things on the day of judgment given to the believers. Salamun qawlan min Rabbir Rahim. Salam, the word from the Lord, the merciful. So that will be a great honor that our Lord who give us a life, He will say salam to us. He will say salam, qawlan min Rabbir Rahim, the word from Lord, the merciful. What will be our feeling if we honor this, that the one who give us a life and who take care of us, and He will say us a salam, peace, kapayapaan. He says salam to us. And we hear this salam on the day of judgment from Lord, the merciful. At the other end, وَامْتَازُ الْيَوْمَ أَيُّهَا الْمُجْرِمُونَ. The other end, it will be said, apart this day, O you criminals. So we don't want to hear this. We just want to hear Allah making salam to us. Because other people will hear this. وَامْتَازُ الْيَوْمَ أَيُّهَا الْمُجْرِمُونَ. And apart this day, O you criminals. Imam Hanifa, one of the great scholar of the Muslim Ummah, one night he is reading this ayah whole night. And he's crying all night. He's saying, وَامْتَازُ الْيَوْمَ أَيُّهَا الْمُجْرِمُونَ. And apart this day, O you criminals, separate from the good ones. So he was crying that he don't want to be among those who will hear this. O criminals, separate, apart from you on that day. أَلَمْ أَعْهَدْ إِلَيْكُمْ يَا بَنِي آدَمَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا الشَّيْطَانَ إِنَّهُ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌّ مُبِينٌ. Did that not take covenant from you, O children of Adam, that you will not worship shaitan? Surely he is an open enemy to you. وَنِعْبُدُونِي هَذَا صِرَاطٌ مُسْتَقِيمٌ. And worship me, be my slave, that is the straight way. Abuduni means is to worship me, but the more deep meaning is to become my slave. Hadha siratul mustaqim. So in the Surah Fatiha we are asking, Ihdina siratal mustaqim, guide us to the straight way. The answer here is Surah Yaseen. وَنِعْبُدُونِي هَذَا siratul mustaqim. And be my slave, that is the straight way. So if we are become the slave of Allah and we want to follow His commands, then that is the straight way, and following the command of Allah according to the way of the prophets, not according to our own way. وَلَقَدْ أَضَلَّ مِنْكُمْ جِبِلًّا كَثِيرًا فَلَمْ تَكُونُوا تَعْقِلُونَ. And He has already laid astray a great number of you. Could you not then use your reason, your minds, that this shaitan already misguided many of you? هَذِي جَهَنَّمُ الَّتِي كُنْتُمْ تُوعَدُونَ. That is a hellfire which you were warned before again and again. إِسْلَوْهَا الْيَوْمَ بِمَا كُنْتُمْ تَكْفُرُونَ. Enter in it because of your rejection of the truth. الْيَوْمَ نَخْتِمُ عَلَىٰ أَفْوَاهِهِمْ. That day we will seal their mouth. وَتُكَلِّمُنَا أَيْدِيهِمْ. And their hand will speak to us. وَتَشْهَدُ أَرْجُلُهُمْ. And their legs will testify against themselves. بِمَا كَانُوا يَكْسِبُونَ. For what they used to earn. وَلَوْ نَشَاءُ طَمَسْنَا عَلَىٰ أَعْيُنِهِمْ فَاسْتَبَقُوا الصِّرَاطَ فَأَنَّىٰ يُبْصِرُونَ. Now had it been our will, should not we could surely have deprived them of their sight, so they would stray forever from the way. For how could they have had insight? وَلَوْ نَشَاءُ لَمَسَخْنَاهُمْ عَلَى مَكَانَتِهِمْ وَاسْتَطَاعُوا مُضِيًّا وَلَا يَرْجِعُونَ. And if it's our will, we could surely have given them a different nature, to masakh, to transform them, to destroy their identity, transform them in their places, so that they would not be able to move forward and could not turn back. وَمَنْ نُعَمِّرُ نَكِّسُ فِي الْخَلْقِ أَفَلَا يَعْقِلُونَ. And whoever we give our long life, we reverse them in creation. Will they not then use their reason? وَمَا عَلَّمْنَاهُ الشِّعْرَ وَمَا يَنبَغِي لَهُ إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا ذِكْرٌ وَقُرْآنٌ مُبِينٌ. And we did not teach him the poetry, nor it is suitable for him, to Prophet Muhammad. إِنْ هُوَ إِلَّا ذِكْرٌ وَقُرْآنٌ مُبِينٌ. It is but a reminder and a plain recital, the Quran Mubin. لِيُنذِرَ مَنْ كَانَ حَيًّا وَيَحِقَّ الْقَوْلُ عَلَى الْكَافِرِينَ. So he can to warn to those who are alive. So if you are alive, the Quran is a warning for you. وَيَحِقَّ الْقَوْلُ عَلَى الْكَافِرِينَ. And the word has been justified against the disbelievers. But if you are dead, it will be just a word against you, that you got the message and you denied, so you are deserved to go to hellfire in the next life. أَوَلَمْ يَرَوْا أَنَّا خَلَقْنَا لَهُم مِّمَّا عَمِلَتْ أَيْدِينَا أَنْعَامًا فَهُمْ لَهَا مَالِكُونَ. And they're not aware that it is for them that we have created, among all the things which we have we created, the cattle, which they are the honor. So Allah said, Allah created for us the cattle, and that we have subjected them to man's will, so that some of them they may use for riding, and some of them may eat. Some of them they use for riding, and some of them they use for eating, like cattle, like horse, donkeys for riding, and cow, the sheep, the goat for eating. وَلَهُمْ فِيهَا مَنَافِعُ وَمَشَارِبُ أَفَلَا يَشْكُرُونَ. And for them they have another benefits like skin, or masharib, and the drinks like milk. أَفَلَا يَشْكُرُونَ. And here I can share that first surah after the Surah Fatiha, the opening chapter, which is preface, the first surah is Baqarah. And Baqarah means cow. And I was wondering that why Allah make the first chapter of the Quran after Surah Fatiha, the second chapter is Baqarah, the cow. What is very important in the cow? And then I realized it. The most beneficial creation for the human beings is cow. The best meat we get from the cow, the beef. The best cloth we get from the cow is also from the cow, the leather. And the best drink we get is also from the cow, the milk. The millions of tons of milk every day we use from the cow. The millions of square meter of the leather we get from the cow every day. And the millions of tons of beef we get from the cow every day. Subhanallah, how beneficial animal the cow is. And then Allah give honor to the cow. To first chapter after Surah Fatiha in the Quran, Al-Baqarah, the cow. The cow gives us the best meat, the beef. The cow gives us the best cloth, the leather. And the cow gives us the best drink, the milk. So Allah said, and in them we have a numerous another benefits and the drink. Afala yashkurun. Will they not be grateful to Allah for all those blessings? وَاتَّخَذُوا مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ آلِهَةً لَعَلَّهُمْ يُنصَرُونَ. And they taken beside Allah the gods, so they might be helped. لَا يَسْتَطِيعُونَ نَصْرَهُمْ. They will not be able to help them. You're calling those gods, they cannot help you. وَهُمْ لَهُمْ جُنْدٌ مُحْضَرُونَ. And they will become the host against them on the day of judgment for their committing shirk against, involving them in their shirk. فَلَا يَحْزُنْكَ قَوْلُهُمْ إِنَّا نَعْلَمُ يَسِرُّونَ وَمَا يُعْلِنُونَ. However, be not grieved, sad by the sayings of those. Verily we know all that they keep secret, as well as all that they bring into open. أَوَلَمْ يَرَ الْإِنسَانُ أَنَّا خَلَقْنَاهُ مِن نُطْفَةٍ فَإِذَا هُوَ خَصِيمٌ مُبِينٌ. Is man then not aware that it is we who create him out of a drop of sperm, whereupon, lo, he shows himself endowed with power to think and to argue. And now he's fighting. He's rejecting Allah. And he's just made from a cell. A cell from a mother, father, the sperm, and a cell from the mother, the egg cell, which is invisible cell. The cell, the sperm cell, the one stalk of the sperm contains a normal human, 200 million sperm cell. And only one sperm cell, Allah created a human being. That small sperm cell, Allah created the human, and now he become an open opponent. He is making argument about Allah. وَضَرَبَ لَنَا مَثَلًا وَنَسِيَ خَلْقًا, and he give example for ourselves and forget his own creation. قَالَ مَنْ يُحْيِي الْعِظَامَ وَهِيَ رَمِيمٌ, he say, who will give the life to the bones when they are rotten? Then Allah replied, قُلْ يُحْيِي الَّذِي أَنْشَأَهَا أَوَّلَ مَرَّةٍ وَبِكُلِّ خَلْقٍ عَلِيمٌ. Say, he will give the life, who give the life for first time. وَبِكُلِّ خَلْقٍ عَلِيمٌ, and he has a knowledge of all kind of creation. We are made from nothing. Our body was in the soil, which the mother and father eaten, and they produce one cell for sperm, and from the mother one cell of egg cell. And this was our foundation. So where do we come from? From the soil. Because the food their parents eating, this from the soil also. The animals or the plants, the water, and then they produce one cell each, and these tiny cells which is invisible. You can only see it when you magnify it thousands or millions of times, and you can see those cells. So Allah said, we created man from nothing. Those small cells is like nothing. And then Allah make it this human being now. And then this human now, he forget his own creation and making example for Allah and saying, who will give the life? Then Allah said, he will give life who give the life for first time. He, Allah, created from the soil and water mentioned in the Quran. If you get our body composition, how many percent of carbon or oxygen or hydrogen or lithium or silicon and all the components of our body, and get the soil and water and bring in the laboratory and check how it is the composition. Hydrogen or oxygen or carbon, similar, same. 100% same. Whatever the content of the soil and water, the same component in our body. The same percentage of hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, silicon, etc. الَّذِي جَعَلَ لَكُم مِنَ الشَّجَرِ الْأَخْضَرِ نَارًا فَإِذَا أَنْتُم مِّنْهُ تُوقِدُونَ. He who bring out the fire from the green tree, behold, when you kindle therewith. Now I am wondering here, maybe somebody can think also, why Allah said that the fire is coming from the green tree? Usually we see the dry wood is making fire. But why Allah is mentioning the green tree? And that is actually a miraculous verse of the Quran which mention about the oxygen. Because all the green tree, they produce oxygen, and if no oxygen, no fire. So when you are match box, you are friction the match on the matchbox. If there is oxygen around, then this carbon will mix with the oxygen to produce a fire. But no oxygen, no fire. You go to the high elevated mountain, very hard to get the fire because less oxygen on the elevated places. So this is the phenomena of the fire coming from the green tree. Is Allah is mentioning about the oxygen indirectly. That there is a green tree which produces oxygen, and oxygen mixed with the carbon to produce the fire. And the same oxygen we inhale and we bring out the carbon dioxide. So oxygen is for not just for our oxygen to inhale and exhale the carbon dioxide. The oxygen is also used for our fire, which we use for our foods. So it's a beautiful mentioning of the Quran that he who bring out the fire from the green tree, behold, when you kindle therewith. So oxygen coming from the green tree, which is responsible for the fire. أَوَلَيْسَ الَّذِي خَلَقَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ بِقَادِرٍ عَلَىٰ يَخْلُقَ مِثْلَهُمْ بَلَى هُوَ الْخَلَّاقُ الْعَلِيمُ. Is then he who has created the heavens and the earth, the universe, the like of those, yeah. Is then he who has created the heavens and the earth not be able to create the like of those? Yeah, indeed. for He alone is all-knowing creator. So Allah said this, Allah is the creator of this big universe. Is He not has the power to create like of you? Nothing we are compared to the universe. How big is the universe? The circumference of the universe, according to the modern science, and its samawat is about 7 even. We are talking about the universe, first sky and the earth. All the creation between the first sky. And there's a universe. And how big is universe? 146 billion light years is the circumference. 146 billion light years is the circumference, one round of the universe. Which means that you travel with the speed of the light for 146 billion years. Speed of the light, which is 300,000 kilometers per second. So you travel for 1 second, multiply by 60 to make a minute, multiply by 60 to make hour, multiply by 24 to make 1 day, and multiply by 365 to make 1 year. And you need to travel for 146 billion light years. That is the circumference of the universe. And the diameter of the universe is 93 billion light years. So Allah said Allah is making that universe, included the 7 sky above this, another 6 sky. And above that is the throne, which is the greatest creation. Which is not, of course, Nauzubillah, some nonsense they think that Allah need to is used for sitting for Allah. No, Allah is free from that. Allah is infinite, unlimited. The throne is just a largest creation or the headquarter where there is a Loh Mahfuz, which is the hard disk for the programming of the universe, of all the creation. So Allah controls the universe through the Arsh. So Ar-Rahman al-Arsh istawa means Allah controls the universe, the kingdom, through the throne. If you say the president is sitting on the Malakanian on the throne, so there is no throne there. The throne meaning here is the kingdom, the control. So Allah controls this universe through the Arsh. So Allah is free from any resemblance to His creation. He is unlimited, infinite. Allah is free from time and space. Allah is free from location, and Allah is free from any belief that you think that Allah is content. Allah is out of His creation, and Allah is greatest, and all the creation in front of Allah is smaller than atom. All the creation, this huge creation in front of Allah is smaller than atom, because Allah is Himself is infinite creator. You cannot define Allah physically, you cannot define Allah chemically, you cannot define Allah biologically, because these are the aspects for us human and the creation only. Allah is free from all this. Innama amruhu idha arada shay'an an yakula lahu kun fayakun. His command, surely His command, when He intends to do something, He just say be, and it is kun fayakun. So that is the word of Allah, the command of Allah, which Christian misguided. They started to think that the word of Allah become human and that human is God. Nauzubillah. It's not like this. The word of Allah is a command of Allah. And then the command of Allah was given to the womb of Mary. So her egg cell was fertilized without a sperm. So how Allah created Jesus? Through His mother, through the egg cell of the Mary, without any sperm. And how it's happened? Because of the word of Allah, which is the command of Allah, kun, and it's happened. So that's an explanation which Christians are misguided. So they started to make Jesus Son of God or God Himself or Trinity, whatever, etc. So the word of Allah is meaning is the command of Allah. And in command of Allah, Allah created not just Jesus, but everything. All the creation Allah created. Why? By His command, which is word of Allah. Kun fayakun. Kun means His word. Be. And fayakun, it's happened. In the last verse of Surah Yaseen, Subhanalladhi biyadihi malakutu kulli shay'in wa ilayhi turja'un. So blessed is He, on His hands is the kingdom of everything, and to Him you all shall be returned. So, mashallah, alhamdulillah, Allah give us power to finish this Surah Yaseen, inshallah. We can dua and see each other tomorrow.
Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and comment.